Hey guys, welcome to another live TFL Today show. And today we're actually doing a two-part show. So we're going to do this show all about the Tesla Model 3 because it was just recently unveiled. And I'm here with Michael Curtis.
Hey guys, nice to be here.
Yep. So Michael is one of our crew members here, and you know all the facts, or as many as possible, about the Model 3.
That's right, Andre. I've been doing my research. This week has been a big week for the Model 3. The first 28 or 30 vehicles just got delivered, mostly to Tesla employees, so don't get too excited. But and with that delivery came a bunch of new information about the vehicle. Special thanks to our friend Anton Wallman, our EV expert here at TFL Car. He gave us a lot of this information, helped us out making this list. So
yeah, and these are the top 5 need-to-know facts about the Model 3. And we're going to count them down, and we want your feedback as well. This is why I have my laptop here, and I'm going to be watching the chat room, and we always appreciate comments and feedback during this show. Obviously, once we're done, it'll be an actual recording of this show, and after we're done with the Model 3, we're going to stop, and we're going to do another live show within about 10 or 15 minutes, all about trucks, specifically Ram and Jeep. So stay tuned for that. So how about we start with number 5?
Number 5, you guys, is the weight. So Tesla famously kind of miscalculates their wait times when they initially announce vehicles. However, they have given us what looks to be a pretty reasonable production scale. Generally speaking, the wait is about 12 to 18 months, but that's broken down into 3 different versions of the vehicle. So first up is it's the extended range model, which has a price of $49,000. That's supposed to be delivered in November of this year to January of 2018.
Okay.
So that's the first run they're going to do, is the longer range car, which we'll get into the details about that longer range soon.
Okay.
But basically the more expensive one first. The next stint will be the rear-wheel drive standard battery, which is roughly $35,000. That'll be from January 2018 until March of 2018. And so that's kind of the foreseeable future. And then later will be what's actually number 4 on our list. And what is that, Andre?
Well, number 4, is that the all-wheel drive potentially?
That's the all-wheel drive. That's exactly right, Andre.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So the car was announced. I mean, most of the details are on their website and throughout sort of the industry, but it's still, the car is not like, I can't walk into a dealership right now and just like buy one right now, right? So tell me more about the all-wheel drive model.
So we know that an all-wheel drive model is coming. It's going to have 2 motors, just like the Model S or the Model X.
Yeah.
It's going to have ludicrous mode, but
of course, that's nice.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's kind of all we know right now. However, we also know that, so that's like the next little bunch of production. That's supposed to come out anytime from September to November of 2018. So a little more than a year away from now, like a year and a half.
Okay.
No pricing announced on that, no performance figures on that, but we do know it's coming.
Okay.
So that's,
can you give me one glimpse, like what is the starting price for a Model 3?
the base price, $35,000.
Okay.
So that gets you the standard battery and
the smaller battery.
Smaller battery.
Yeah, yeah.
No options, rear-wheel drive. That's like completely stock.
Okay.
And of course, depending on where you are, you can get certain tax rebates. So the price will actually be a little lower than $35,000, the real price at least. But the base price itself is $35,000, and we'll get more into pricing a little bit later.
Yes. So can we move on?
We
so
can.
number 3, I'm excited about this one.
Yeah. So number 3 is performance, and fortunately we have seen the performance figures for the standard and the long-range battery. So on the standard battery, you get a 0 to 60 time of 5.6 seconds.
Okay.
It's quick.
All right, yeah.
Not blazingly fast, especially by Tesla's standard, but it's, that's about a GT.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Please do, yeah.
Behind us is actually another plug-in electric car, but it has a gasoline engine as well.
That's right.
This is the 2017 BMW 530 eDrive. And the time on this one in rear-wheel drive form is 6 seconds.
6 seconds.
So this Model 3 is actually quicker than that.
Yeah. And close to a little faster than the Bolt's time as well, to give another sort of barometer for performance.
Yes.
The standard battery, the 5.6 second 0 to 60 time, that has a top speed of 130 miles an hour.
Okay.
And then if you move up to the faster one, you get 0 to 60 of 5.1 seconds and a top speed of 140 miles an hour. So a little increase in performance if you go for the extended battery.
Yeah. So that's exciting. I mean, that's a quick time. And a lot of people are already commenting and saying, the starting price sounds very attractive.
It does.
But of course, a lot of manufacturers do this. You have a base price and then you have a fully loaded car price.
Right.
Which is quite different, and we're going to sort of break those options a little bit further.
Exactly. We have a pretty comprehensive price breakdown.
We have a lot of notes here.
Yeah.
And
the board is very full of notes right now.
So we're going to get to some of your questions just after we finish.
And of course, if we miss anything in the full list, we'll have time for questions at the end of the show as well.
Sounds good.
But on to number 2, which is, of course, the range. And that's a pretty big deal for this vehicle. So range on the standard battery, the car that does 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds, 220 miles, which is pretty respectable.
Less than the Bolt.
A little less than the Bolt. The Bolt does 238 miles. And as we've tested, Andre, you can actually up that number a little bit depending on where and how you drive.
Yeah, it all depends on your driving style.
Totally.
We tested the Bolt recently, just a couple of weeks ago.
Very recently.
And the computer always tries to give you an estimate. Depending on the charge of the battery, how hot it is, it's ambient temperature and everything else. But I was seeing actually numbers close to like 280 miles estimated. We never ran it completely out, but
we didn't.
So those numbers can vary.
Totally, completely varied depending on your driving
style. Is there any number for the bigger battery?
So the extended range, it does have a number, 310 miles.
Okay.
Which, that's a lot of range. Yes. I mean, I don't even get 310 miles out of a tank of gas on my GTI. So that's a significant amount of range.
So a lot of people will say, well, okay, in your GTI you can pull up to your gas pump.
That's
you
true.
can fill up in a couple minutes, 5 minutes, and then you can be on your way down the road. But what about the Tesla? And I know Tesla has been expanding their charging network, which is really important.
That's right. So we do have information on charging as well. For the smaller battery, you get 130 miles of range in 30 minutes of supercharging.
Okay.
And then just plugging in at your house, you get 30 miles per hour of charging.
Okay.
So,
do you know if is that level 2?
I believe that's level 2.
Okay. This is 120 volt versus 240 volt.
Right.
So like your dryer is a 240.
Sure. Yeah.
And then your regular outlet is 120.
So, let's say you only wanted to supercharge once if you're going on a road trip. You could get a pretty solid 450, maybe more than that, miles in a day, which, I mean, I don't know if I would want to drive more than 450 miles in a day.
I've done it recently. It's not too much fun.
You get pretty tired after a certain point. So if you upgrade for the bigger battery, and actually I made a slight mistake here, you can get a little more than 450. You get 480 miles.
After the charging?
After the charging, because the bigger battery gets 170 miles per half an hour of supercharging.
Well, that's impressive.
That's a lot.
I mean, that's a lot of miles.
That's a lot of miles.
Okay.
So almost 500 miles in a day with only a half an hour break in there, which, I mean,
which could be a lunch.
That could be a lunch.
Yes.
You can just charge a car,
easy
grab
lunch.
a sandwich, and you probably need a break of driving after 300 miles anyways. So, and sorry, to add to that, 37 miles per hour of charging at home.
So here we are. We are actually based in Colorado, which is a lot different from the West Coast or the East Coast, where there's a lot of population in a very close area. Here we have big distances.
It's very spread out.
So we have, our needs are a little bit different than some people on the coasts. For example, like if I wanted to see, see some relatives in New Mexico, I have to drive at least 480 miles.
Yeah, which you could.
Potentially I could.
Pretty reasonably. I think it's
Tesla
doable.
had a supercharger, which they
along the way,
which they do, like I-70, which runs across the Rocky Mountains, has a charger in Silverthorne. And also I think Glenwood Springs. So they are extending that network.
And that network will continue to grow, I think, as production continues for the Tesla. So,
Okay, so are we up to number 1?
We're up to number 1, and this is probably the thing that you guys have been asking a lot of questions about in the comments, and that is price. So as we mentioned, there's a base price of $35,000. What that gets you is the 220 miles of range, 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds. The charging stats that we listed, 130 miles per half hour supercharging, but nothing else. Rear wheel drive, that's all you get. So for the long range battery, it's an extra $9,000, bringing the total up to $44,000. So if you want that 310 miles of range, a little bit faster, a little more charge per half an hour, it's $9,000, which is a lot.
It is a lot.
But depending on where you live, that could be written off by your tax incentives.
Yeah, because currently you do get a $7,500 federal tax credit. It's a credit.
Yep.
It's not actual cash that they give you. But also a lot of states have additional credits.
That's
so
right.
for example, Colorado currently for a full electric vehicle, and it's actually judged on a size of your battery.
Okay.
But if you do have a full electric like this,
Yeah.
up to $5,000 in Colorado. So different states have different incentives.
It's a lot.
And there is, of course, a question is, when will those incentives go away or be decreased?
Yeah.
But currently, that's what it is.
Yeah. So right now you'll get at least $7,500, potentially more.
Yes.
So adding on to that, there's a few option packages you can get. Color, anything other than black, is $1,000.
Wait, is this like the Ford Model T?
It is kind of like the Model T.
Where it only came in black, and then
you want black, unless you don't want black, and then you can pay a little extra money
for the colors.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's interesting.
19-inch rims, $1,500. So if you want a slightly larger wheel,
bling bling.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go for that. I mean, I like 18-inch rims. You get a little more sidewall, a little comfier ride.
Yeah, sure.
Who knows? That's totally personal preference. There's a premium package for $5,000.
What is that?
So that adds heated and powered front seats.
Okay.
Or heated, maybe ventilated? I didn't check that, honestly.
Okay.
At least heated front seats and power adjustable front seats. Otherwise, they're not heated and they are manually adjustable. But that's a lot of money for some heated seats.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple other things in there, but the biggest deal about that is heated seats.
Okay.
Another $5,000 gets you the enhanced autopilot. So that's lane keep on the highway, lane changing, speed matching. You can change from one highway to another, and it'll park itself.
So like if you're in the highway network, it'll take an exit.
Yep.
Or interchange
onto another highway
for you.
Yeah.
Do all those things. Okay.
And park itself.
All right.
But for another $3,000 on top of that, so $8,000 total now, you can have fully autonomous driving.
Okay. So how does that work? Did they specify any specifics about how that works?
They didn't really tell us how that works.
Okay.
I assume it works similar to the more comprehensive system in the Model S and Model X. We haven't tested this at all.
No.
So we don't actually know how it works, to be
well,
completely
but
honest.
also, I mean, we have to be a little bit skeptical here,
Right.
right?
I mean, fully autonomous, maybe it'll have some struggles in town, right?
In town, or what about mountains? What about bad weather? What about a city it's never been to?
Yeah.
Or a town it's never been to? Or a village? I mean, there are a lot of questions here, so obviously we do need to do some testing on this.
That's right.
Because all the other manufacturers are working on the same problem, right? You also have ride-sharing companies working on this, like Uber.
Yep.
You have Ford, all the major manufacturers working on this problem.
Even Google is working on
Google
this,
is
right? There's tons of people working on autonomous driving.
So that's a fairly strong claim to say, hey, for
yeah.
$9,000 you get this.
The claim made by Tesla is completely hands-off driving on part of the driver, so you don't have to touch a thing. It'll just take you to where you need to go. Obviously,
we have to test that.
We need to test that,
Yes.
but the claim is that it will drive itself for $8,000.
Okay.
So that's all the options.
So where are we at now?
So
okay, so 35 to begin with.
35 plus
You got 9, 5,
5, 3, 1, 1,500. Completely loaded with a destination fee of $1,200.
Yes.
$60,700.
Okay.
Before tax incentives
Right.
or rebates,
Credits, whatever.
credits.
Okay.
So that's pricey. That's a lot of automobile, or a lot of money at least for a car. What's the price on this Beamer?
Well, this is kind of a fully loaded model. This is $68,000, but it's a little bit larger. I mean, the 5 Series is a little bit larger. So
car.
I think the Model 3 really competes with like a 3 Series.
A 3 Series, that's right.
So I think that's fairly competitive price if you consider, a fully loaded 3 Series, would be under 60 grand as well,
Yeah.
Or over 50 at least.
Right.
So that's relatively competitive price.
Yeah.
Of course, you're in this luxurious, sporty segment. I
Right.
mean, you have
Yeah.
a luxury and performance.
That's right.
So that's really, really interesting. And obviously, we'll be doing a lot more with this, right? Because
Yeah.
obviously the cars are not available
not
for
out
everybody yet,
Yeah.
or for consumers. So they're testing a lot of them within, the Tesla employee community, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, the first group of people to get their cars are people close to Tesla
Yeah.
or employees of
Yeah,
Tesla.
right.
So.
Okay. So I was going to look at few of the comments
Okay.
here.
And we do have a bonus at some point.
Okay, so you start with the bonus while I read through some of the
sounds
comments.
good. So
Okay.
guys, the bonus is the warranty information, and this might not be as exciting of news because they've actually changed their warranty and reduced it slightly. So now it is an 8-year battery warranty with 100,000 miles for the standard battery and 120,000 miles on the long-range battery. In addition to that, you get a 4-year, 50,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty that covers everything except the battery. So it used to be a much more comprehensive warranty. I don't have the exact number on me right now, but it was a lot more miles. I think it might have been unlimited miles, or
Yeah, I think it
10
used to be
years?
unlimited. Yes, and then they've changed.
They
it,
they
obviously.
reduced it a little bit. So that's the bonus, is that the warranty is a little bit less time and mileage than it used to be. But are there any questions that you found so far that we need to address?
Well, yeah. So first of all, guys, thank you for joining us on
Yeah.
this live broadcast as well, and providing your comments and questions. First of all, somebody said that the starting price is shockingly low. Yeah, it's fairly aggressive, but and it's within. If you look at some of the luxury competitors, I mean, it's competitive with those cars.
Definitely, yeah.
Obviously, a lot of manufacturers do this. They get you in a dealership with a low starting price for
Right,
a base car,
right.
but once you get options, it'll be much
They jack
higher.
it up a little bit.
And this is the same case with Tesla here.
I should mention the all-wheel drive dual motor with ludicrous mode will be probably a lot more than that, $60,000 also. They haven't released pricing on that yet, so
On the ludicrous mode?
on the ludicrous mode or all-wheel drive, but I don't know what the difference is on the current models, but I would probably say anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 would be my guess on how much extra you'll have to pay for that. Again, that's just completely guessing. But
There are a lot of comments here about the Chevy Bolt, because Bolt obviously is in the same price range.
Yep.
Starts in the 30s, and the car we tested was $42,000 with a few options. So pricing was competitive, and the range was competitive with the base model two-wheel drive car.
Totally.
Obviously, some people are saying, and it also has to do with design, right? Some people like the hatchback design, some people don't, and it's more of a sedan shape than
Much
the
more
Tesla
sedan.
Model 3.
It's kind of a sportback like the Model S, or even the Audi the
Like a
A5
5 or a
Sportback or the
7.
A7. It's a little more hatchback shaped than that, but it looks, and probably on capacity feels a bit more like a sedan than a hatchback. So if you want the additional cargo space, and honestly, the Bolt had a ton of interior space headroom wise. It was really tall.
Yeah.
So it depends on whether you want a better looks or more practicality. I personally think that the Model 3 looks a lot better than the Bolt. It was a little goofy design, but not a bad looking car. Just
Right.
Proportionately a little strange. Very tall.
Julie Robinson had a lot of nice comments about TFL, so thank you, Julie,
Thank you, Julie.
for joining us. Also, there's a question about curb weight, and I don't know if you had any specs about curb weight.
They have release specs. I didn't put it on our list, so
Okay.
I don't have that for you right now, guys, but we can post a comment.
Yeah,
maybe?
sure. We can answer the comment when the video goes live. But here's one thing about that we know from the Model S and X is they're not lightweight cars.
No, they're
because-
heavy.
But all of the weight is down low because
True.
the floor of the car is basically where the battery
That's right.
is stored.
Yeah.
So the negative is it's a bit heavy.
It's heavy.
The positive is it's got good center of gravity.
Yeah, the weight's in the correct place
Yeah.
to be conducive for fun, performance-oriented driving.
Yeah.
It will feel heavy. I'm sure it'll probably understeer a little bit. The rear-wheel drive model probably will be able to do burnouts. Maybe the Model S can do burnouts if you get the big battery pack. Which who knows? Maybe we'll get a chance to test that at some point. But yeah, I'm guessing it'll actually be pretty fun to drive.
Yeah, and obviously we need to test it. There are a few comments here. Some have some humor in them. You know, could you drive it to Mars? The answer is probably no.
No.
Could you drive it up Goldmine Hill? The answer is yes, we could, but we would damage it. So
Yeah,
no,
we won't. Sure we could. We will not do that though.
Will Tesla? When do you expect a Tesla pickup truck? Well, after. So Tesla announced the plan even before this Tesla Model 3 news, and a pickup truck is still in their plan. Also in their plan is, and this is like a 5-year plan, is a semi-truck or a commercial vehicle, which is electric.
And also the Model Y, correct? Which is like a smaller crossover.
Yeah, a smaller crossover, Model Y. This is very ambitious.
Extremely ambitious.
Also, there's no lack of ambition here.
No.
Also, they had a ride-sharing vehicle that they're working on.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So a vehicle that's not like a car, but actually meant for autonomous ride-sharing.
Okay.
So you can have more passenger space instead of having a space for a driver, for example.
Yeah.
And also, so we don't know. We don't have a timeline for a pickup truck or a semi-truck. So,
it could happen though.
But within 5 years, Tesla wants to do this, and one of the sort of factors for this is how successful the Model 3 will be. If the Model 3 is successful, sells a lot of units, and by the way, Chevy Bolt is actually struggling with sales right now.
Is it?
Yeah, so a lot of dealers are reporting that there is a lot of inventory on the Bolt sitting at the dealer lots. So it depends, you know, how the public reacts to this. But there's a lot of excitement about all the about
That's
the Model
interesting,
3.
Andre. I recently went into a Chevy dealership, and they told me they sold 12 Bolts on the first day. So I was under the impression it was doing actually somewhat well, but maybe there was an early surge in new buyers, and then it kind of dropped off from there.
Well, and they're still unrolling the car across the country. So they started on the coasts, California, New York, and then Colorado is now selling Bolts as well right now. But the most recent report, like a week ago, said that there was some,
selling that well.
Or maybe they kind of flooded them. You know, they put a lot out, and so that could be a case as well. Have we seen superchargers? Yes, of course we've seen superchargers around Denver and Colorado area.
Yep, they are out there, which is actually pretty nice.
Yeah, and it's solely Tesla.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't pull up in your BMW or...
Does Tesla use a proprietary plug for supercharging?
Yeah, they do, and also in order to access it, you need to have a certain code.
Right.
So anyway, those are most of the questions, and if there's any more coming, we will answer them in the comments below.
That's right.
So thank you guys a lot for joining, and stay tuned. In a little while, in about 15 minutes, we're going to do another show all about trucks, specifically Ram and Jeep vehicles, EcoDiesel news, some other news coming.
Exactly.
So thanks a lot.
Thank you.